The chancellor at UC Santa Barbara was pleased and funded a position, and then I went out and interviewed more than 20 persons. Another problem, another obstacle. My chair let me know that he had a female friend who was editing a dog journal, and she was very unhappy editing her dog journal, and she would be very pleased to edit this new public historian. And my chair made it very clear that my future might be in his hand. Anyway, you can see what was going on here. I talked to my wife, and she said, "You stick to your guns," because I had told her that in the 20 people I had found one person I felt very good about, who I thought was outstanding, and a person named Lindsay Reed. Marion said, "You hire Lindsay Reed, don't you give in to that dog journal." Anyway, that's what happened. And Lindsay became an assistant editor and then just did a terrific job. We finally named her managing editor, and she's been managing editor ever since. And in many ways, Lindsay has become the very soul, and I say that advisedly, the very soul of this publication. She took the challenge of producing a journal in a new field and making it into a highly respected national publication. So at this time, I'd like to invite Lindsay to come up and just say a few words. Because here's a person who has given, 28 years to this journal and to the NCPH.
I date myself. Well, thank you, Wes. That's very generous of you. And as you can see, I'm not really on the program. I'm just here to say a few words to give you a sense of what it was
You're
like
not a token
when
guest. You're an honored guest.
Oh, well, thank you very much. But I came to the Journal in 1980. I had never edited the Harvard Lampoon or anything like it. But Wes took a chance on me, and I am so grateful, because you've really changed my life, and all of you have. I mean, this has been just really the career from heaven for me. And when I came there, I was looking over. Wes called me about this literally as I was walking out the door to come to this meeting, so I had very little time to prepare. But I did look back at some of the early sort of masthead title pages of the Journal, and I knit my brow when I saw that I was actually on the masthead before I was hired. And the reason for that is that we were a little behind when I took over. In the first year of this of my tenure on this quarterly journal, we put out 6 issues. So that's why, if you say, yes, you were hired in December of 1980, why are you on the masthead several issues before that? And that's the reason. So just backing up to the hiring process, I remember seeing this ad and wondering, I wonder what that is. I've never heard of public history, but it sounds like an interesting job. I had been teaching writing, and I was really tired of reading 66 freshman essays every week, and then having to read the revisions of the same. And Wes knew that I could edit, I could write. I could not do anything. I knew nothing about production of a journal. And in the first few days that I was hired, Wes walked me around campus. It was all very physical in that time. You didn't send things on email. I didn't even have a computer. But we walked over to the person who's done our wonderful covers ever since, Rich Ailing, and I live in fear that he will retire before I do. And we also went over down the airport road to Kimberly Press, which was a father and son operation where they actually used hot type. And I remember being very embarrassed when I revealed that I didn't know what a running head was. I envisioned these, heads sort of. But I soon learned all of that and was able to put out a journal that I can certainly be proud of today. I was all very impressed with the editorial board that Wes was able to assemble in the early years, and I did Xerox off just to give you some of these illustrious names. Harold Anderson, Andy Anderson of Wells Fargo, Mary Ann's predecessor. Possibly he's still around up there. Carl Degler, Richard Hewlett, Sue Ellen Hoy, Richard Jensen, Arnita, Richard Kirkendall, whose name is still invoked in our staff meetings because the Kirkendall rule says a lot about whether or not something is appropriate for review in the public historian. Ernie May, Charlie Morrissey, Joel Carr, David Trask. These are all people who were on the Board of Editors in the winter of 1981. They didn't meet in the same way we meet today, and that's been a huge transition in my work to see how this editorial board has grown. We now have 3 international editorial board members. Holger Hook here in the back is one of those. And it's just become sort of a an incredible brainstorming session. In fact, I could sense that Holger was wondering how we ever get through an agenda of more than 8 items. I think yesterday at 20 minutes to the bell ringing, we were still on item 3, which is brainstorming. And what tends to happen in these things is that one idea leads to another, and I end up feeling something like a border collie trying to herd it all into one little neat pile and then shepherd it through, into something that makes sense for the journal. So, what else? I mean, as far as the future, I feel somewhat left behind by all the wonderful things that John has instituted. I don't know a whole lot about Facebook or Twittering or any of these things, but I'm willing to learn. HPublic is great. I can handle that. The blog, I'm kind of getting into reading blogs, but yeah, I'm an old timer, I guess.
But Lindsay mentioned what you told me about how many manuscripts.
Oh yes, well, that's another thing. I mean, in the first years, I know manuscripts did come in. But there was something of a feeling of beating the bushes, too, trying to figure out who's doing this work. It's very different when you have the web and you have this sort of network and this ability to get out there.
Conferences and waylay people as speakers afterwards and say, would you send that to the
We still do
historian?
that.
Yeah.
We still do that. But yeah, the acquisitions process has changed enormously. I mean, it used to be very much beating the bushes, and now we just sit there and things come to us. I mean, I can't go into Starbucks down in the lobby without somebody coming and proposing, a special issue, which is great. I mean, as I said to Wes, it's an embarrassment of riches, and we're so lucky to have such a thriving field to contribute to the journal. So, thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll be talking more.
Thank you very much, Lindsay.